Hey everyone, I think this is my fifth version of this video. I started this channel in December 2020, and I think the very first video that I put out was like my favorite or top 10 or something like that. And I've done one every year since then around this time at the end of the year. And it's a really difficult challenge every single year. So obviously it's not the only top 10 for life. Otherwise the list wouldn't change from year to year. But you know, when you do these channels, you try a lot of fragrances. I think in 2024 alone, I have tried, I don't even know, just hundreds and hundreds of fragrances over the year. And so things come in and out of the top 10 list. Last year, when I posted this video, one of our lovely viewers, Catherine Fraser, hey girl, hey, had the recommendation to have a core of fragrances that never changes. And then you could sort of rotate out the top 10 beyond that. And I thought that was a great idea. So for those of you that have been watching the channel for a long time, you know that there is a core of fragrances that I have loved from year to year, and many that I have loved before I even started my channel and started to experiment in this big wide world of fragrance. So that core of fragrances that will likely never ever leave my collection. I will always have a bottle of them. I will always treasure them with my whole heart. They have big meaning to me. Those are going to be down in the pinned comment, including the usual suspects like Still from Jennifer Lopez, Chinatown from Bond Number 9, Alien from Mugler, etc. So the 10 in front of me include some of the loves that I have come to know since I've started the channel, and maybe some additional ones that entered the mix this year. And I know I'm going to forget something that should probably be on this list. I know it's inevitable. So I don't know. By the way, would you be interested? I don't know that I can film this, but would you be interested in seeing a top 100 choices from my own collection? If I had to narrow everything down, that would be like a really long video, maybe an hour or more. Are you into it or not? I know some of y'all just like short videos. You just want the business, you want the list, and you want to get out. Speaking of that, let me jump right into this year's top 10. So remember, there have been a lot of top 10 videos this year of lots of different varieties. In fact, there is a playlist in the description box called Top 10 for Life, but there's all the top 10 videos of all varieties that I've done this fall and in other years are in that playlist if you just want to binge and have fun with some of my favorites across very many categories. This is the capsule of fragrances that I would take with me to the deserted island, okay, from across my entire collection. The only rule that I gave myself is that I could not have more than one from any given house in this top 10. All right, enough ado, let's get to it. No one will be surprised by the very first selection. I have raved and raved and raved some more about this fragrance. I found it in 2024. Well, it wasn't like I was out on a Lewis and Clark expedition and just happened to come across it and no one else has seen it before. I mean to say that I discovered it myself, not myself. You know what I'm saying? I came across it for the first time in 2024 and immediately fell in love when I tried it. It's one of the only 10 out of 10 perfect fragrances in my collection, from the bottle design all the way through the wearing experience and what it makes me feel like and all of the things. It is Musc Moschus from Rania J. You knew it was going to be in this lineup. I like the bottle, the curvature of it, the heft on the bottom, the simplicity of it, the little placard on the front. I even like that in the cap, you have the RJ, Rania J stamped into it, which is just a nice extra added touch to the bottle design that is thoughtful. This fragrance is primarily a really soft, lovely, super cozy, enveloping, cocooning, vanilla, very delicate musk, a little tiny bit of fruitiness, and a little hint of citrus. That's kind of it. There's also a little bit of woodiness in the base, but when you take the cap off and smell this, you get that lovely, almost delicious, like almost edible vanilla. It's very soft and cozy. The musk is clean, but it's warm. It's like a fresh, warm musk. And I love the very, very delicate, subtle combination of a berry sweetness with a little tiny hint of citrus to liven this fragrance up, give it some character. This is not a very loudly projecting fragrance, but it does last the entire day for me. It's a nice bubble. I might call this a skin scent or maybe a skin scent plus because it's a little bit stronger than a skin scent. It's definitely one of those fragrances that when you hug someone, you will get the whiff of it. But if you're not near them, it's not like you're going to smell this across the room. Maybe when you first spray it, but that's kind of the case with most fragrances, right? When you first spray it, it dissipates out into the air. But then after a number of of hours it lays close to the skin. And this is one of those. I love this as a second skin, your skin, but better, plus, plus, plus. Like it's an enhanced your skin, but better fragrance. And there's just something so lovely and cozy and warm and inviting. It's like a fuzzy blanket around you. I adore this in more ways than I can describe. I just have this smaller bottle. When I get through this, I will definitely be purchasing a bigger bottle, and it won my heart. I find absolutely nothing wrong with this fragrance. The times that I have worn this, I have felt perfect in it, or like it is perfect on me. By the way, all 10 of these, for me, express some facet of my personality. You know, these are ones that they fit different occasions. There's some representation of some, you know, some part of my personality. They feel like me fragrances, and they give you the feels. What can I say? So Rania J Musc Moschus is first up. Absolutely no one is going to be surprised about the next fragrance either, because I have sung its praises to the gods, to the heavens above. Many of you also enjoy this fragrance, and a few of you just find it kind of lackluster. That's okay. We all have different opinions on fragrances. This is Soleil Neige from Tom Ford. I don't think this made my top 10 last year, but I think it made my, if it was going to be a 20 list, because I think this was in my pinned comment last year as a, if I had to choose an 11 through 20, I think this was there. But anyway, I have fallen even more in love with it this year, to the point where I put it in the top 10 for this year, particularly because I have been traveling a lot more for work this year. And I like to take scents with me that I know are going to smell wonderful on me, where I'm going to feel natural and professional, like I'm expressing a part of myself without taking over the room. And this fragrance kind of does that for me. This is another fragrance that has a vanilla base, maybe slightly bit ambery, but it comes across more vanilla to me than anything else. And it has these lovely, very fresh, happy, white floral and citrus notes. So if this is the more comforting, cozy sweater weather fragrance, cocooning and warm, this is, I just woke up, I got a fresh night's sleep, and I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to tackle the world. I've got my cup of coffee and I am heading out. This is called Soleil Neige, which means sun on snow. And I think that's an interesting name for it, because for me, yes, I wear this in the winter, but I really think of this as shining more in the spring and in the summer, and maybe even in the early fall. It's one that I have gotten compliments on. If you're new to my channel, I don't get a lot of compliments because I don't go out in public much. I am very much a homebody. I'm here with my family. I work from home, and I do travel for work occasionally. Obviously, I go out grocery shopping and I do errands and occasionally get together with friends, but you can usually find me right here in my home. And so the few times that I've worn this out to work events, it's one that actually people notice and I get complimented on. It's just so fresh and clean and feminine and vibrant and lovely, and just reminds me of sunshine coming through the trees, like the happy image of the golden sunshine through trees. Soleil Neige. These are in no particular order, obviously, but the third one that I am going to talk about is Saffron LAZULI from Carolina Herrera. I think this has been on my list maybe the past 3 years or so since I discovered it. This is such, by the way, I mean, gosh, it like matches my shirt. Isn't that cute? This is my scent of the day. So let me go on and spray a little bit more for y'all. It's called Saffron LAZULI. And so there's a saffron note. And for me, it comes across both, I can smell saffron and I can smell a very soft, almost like buttery leather, like a soft, buttery, very easygoing, linear, almost feminine leather. I talk about this. There's a memory I have associated with this. So pardon me for those of you that have heard this 9,468 times. This reminds me of when my mom would come home from work and she had a leather jacket on, like a long, almost trench coat leather. And she always had gum in her pockets. And so there was an inside pocket to the coat that she wore. She always had either juicy fruit or, why can't I think of the name of the other one? I'm going to say spearmint gum from Wrigley's, that type in her pocket. And so her body warmth would warm up the smell of the gum, and you could smell that and the soft, worn in buttery leather together. And this reminds me of both of those gums, like that spearmint, juicy fruit, banana-esque type of scent, along with the soft buttery leather, along with like some perfumey aspects, because my mom always wore perfume, like every single day. And she wore a lot of like the old school powerhouse perfumes, like your Shalimars and your Original Opium and Obsession in the Boat bottle, the original Obsession from Calvin Klein, Oscar de la Renta, those kinds of fragrances she would douse herself in and go to work. So there were like some remnants of that, on her jacket from when she wore them before and whatever she wore that day, plus the gum, plus the soft, supple, buttery leather together. That is what this reminds me of. I find it to be such a sophisticated scent, very sort of elegant, maybe even regal, and I just adore it. This is not for everyone, but I think those of you that have found this and love it, you really love it. You enjoy it. And then there are others of you that this is just not your scent profile. You're not into leathers. You're not into that sort of gum smell. It doesn't work for you. That's fine. This works for me. And I love this. It's one of my favorite Carolina Herrera fragrances. I have a number from this confidential line. I have tried others, enjoyed them and sold them, but this one has sort of stood the test of time. And I dare say is maybe my favorite from the confidential line. I'm also a really big fan of Sandal Ruby. That has made my top 10 in previous years, not this year, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous, really strong, beautiful special occasion fragrance. I also love Virgin Mint for the summertime, but check out this line. There's some real beauties and you have to sort of experiment through the line. The bottles are gorgeous too. These are fabulous. I don't recall if this next fragrance was in last year's top 10 or if it was in that 11 through 20 slot, but it definitely has continued to hold a place in my heart this year. And again, because I'm traveling a lot for work, I shouldn't say a lot. I don't travel a lot. I may travel, once a month, once every other month, but that feels like a lot to me. And this is a fragrance that I would not hesitate to take with me to a work event and wear. And it's a sort of everyday, casual, easygoing fragrance, kind of similar to Still in the Still from Jennifer Lopez in the way that I would wear it. All occasion, you just can't go wrong with it. It's never the wrong choice, and it's often a right choice, if that makes sense. And that is Bare by Victoria's Secret. I happen to have the rose version of this, Bare Rose, and I have Bare Magnolia. Those are also very lovely fragrances. This one continues to be my top choice. I just adore this bottle and the way that it handles, the way that it feels in hand. The cap is pretty too. There are only 3 notes called out for this fragrance on the Victoria's Secret website, and that is sandalwood and violet and mandarin. And so what I can share with you is that this smells very fresh, very clean, very uplifting. Another one that to me feels very second skin. So I love the name Bare because it is like the barest of skin scents. Like when you think of skin scents, there's usually some warmth to them. A lot of people pick up warmth in this. I wouldn't say it's necessarily warm to me. There are some cool aspects to it. Like violet to me is a very cool note. It's a very structured, librarian with her hair up in a bun kind of note. Very strict, very structured, very clean, very fresh and airy in lots of ways. I love the mandarin and sandalwood with it, and perhaps something else. I always say, I wonder if there's some vanilla in this fragrance because it does have some kind of warmth to it, but I wouldn't necessarily call it only warm. It's like this interesting contrast between warm fragrance notes and cool fragrance notes. And I love that about it. Some people refer to this as smelling either soapy and not like bar soap, but maybe fresh soap, hand soap or something like that. Some people even consider it shampoo-y. If it does smell like shampoo, it's definitely like a salon type of shampoo, not your regular, drugstore fruity smelling shampoos. This is like essential oil smelling shampoo or something. I definitely pick up sandalwood in the fragrance, a woody base to it that I think is just lovely and clean. It's just fresh and fantastic. And I can't go wrong with this. This is like an expression of your skin smelling better than itself. Again, like I talked about Musc Moschus being like a skin scent plus. This is also like a skin scent plus. This one, Musc Moschus, is in the warm direction. This one is clean and airy and easygoing. It's very easy breezy as a fragrance, not offensive, very, very inoffensive. Very crowd pleasing, simple, and I like it for that. If you've watched me for a while, you probably know that I have an unusual obsession with Tiziana Terenzi as a house. And the perfumer Paolo Terenzi just makes some amazing fragrances. My husband loves almost all of these on me. And the ones that he has, actually, I think he only has 1 or 2 that are male leaning, masculine, and they smell fantastic on him. I probably have at this point over 20 Tiziana Terenzi bottles, and I really enjoy them a lot. There have maybe been 1 or 2 that I wasn't a huge fan of. In fact, I joked around in my worst buys of the year video that Chiron from this house in the Comet line in the black beautiful bottle with the gold placard and the gold cap was maybe one of my worst purchases of the year because it has such an unusually pungent and harsh opening, shall we say. And I ended up having to sell that to a lovely new home. So the one that I'm picking from Tiziana Terenzi, I'd love to take them all. This is probably, if I, narrowing down from this one house is one of the biggest challenges for me, but I have to give it to Vele. There's something about this fragrance that is unique and interesting and different and just is like a reflection of my best self. So this one here, I want to read you some of the notes. I can't say that I pick out individually any of those notes, although other people do. There's fig, green leaves, mango, maracuja, and red currant at the top. In the heart, heliotrope, jasmine, ylang-ylang, hyacinth, rose. In the base, allspice, papaya, pau Brazil wood, amber, musk, and vanilla. Holy kitchen sink notes. So there is this sort of tropical, sweet fruitiness in the fragrance. There's this lovely, like almost through line of soft greenness that feels like life itself, like life is blooming, like the way that springtime smells when everything is blooming, it's humid in the air, maybe there's a thunderstorm in the distance. Maybe you have a fruity fragrance on, like tropical fruity fragrance on, but you're smelling the petrichor in the air. You're smelling the green grass sprouting. You're smelling florals, flowers in your garden beds starting to bloom, and they're giving off some fragrance. This is just such a delightful, wonderful, happy fragrance. Vele, I understand, means sail, like sailboat sail in Italian. I don't get anything related to ocean, to being on the water when I smell this. To me, this smells like some cross between like a luscious garden and tropical fruits and that sweet vanilla in the base. I think this is such a robust, round, interesting, really fascinating, happy fragrance. It lasts a long time when I spray it on, and it has just a nice balance of very feminine aspects with some unisex aspects. I wouldn't say there's anything in here that strikes me as masculine at all. I can't get enough of like the youthfulness of this, the happiness of this fragrance, the way that it evokes in me, the image. Can you evoke an image in a person? What am I talking about? It makes me think of gardens sprouting. I love this. This is just so pleasant. It's so different than anything else in my collection. I can't point to any other fragrance I have and say that it smells like Vele. So it's one of the most unique that I have and worth getting your nose on if you enjoy some greenness and you like a tropical scent and vanilla is your friend. Try Vele. Beautiful. Speaking of happy, vibrant, delicious, the scent of life. This one stays sold out. It's actually back in stock on Lucky Scent at full price. I'm going to see if I can find this at a not full price for you all. By the way, as always, everything will be linked down in the description box. And if I can find them through the YouTube market, I'll link that as well. This is from Sospiro. It's Dolce Melodia. I had a really hard time choosing between this one and Herba Gold from Xerjoff, which I think was either also new this year or came out in late 2023. I don't remember, but both of these give me similar vibes. The Herba Pura one is more like a fresh fruit salad smell, which is just fabulous. Fresh fruit salad, like melons. Okay, so you got cantaloupe and honeydew melon and watermelon and musk and all of that together. Fruit salad plus musk, that one is. This one is very similar, except the fruit notes in here. There's pear and there's orange as the fruit notes in this fragrance. Another fragrance that just smells like life itself, like new life, except in fruit form. I love the citrus in here. I love the sweetness from the pear. Some of the other notes, vanilla, sandalwood, and white musk in the base. There's also saffron and some florals that are in the middle, jasmine and gardenia. So think citrus, like sweet citrus, because the pear almost comes across as like a sweet fruit note. So think sweetened up citrus with some lovely florals in the middle and a nice musky vanilla base with woody, like a woody backdrop. Okay, this is fabulous. I've heard people rave and rave and rave about this. The only thing that I find wrong with this fragrance, and I've said this before, is it's in a velvet bottle. Like, who wants to be handling velvet when you're talking about fragrances? I don't like velvet on my bottles. I mentioned that I do not like velvet covers on any of my makeup products either. It's just weird to me. I'd rather have a slick surface. But that aside, and the price, I mean, this has not shown up on discounters, or has it? Maybe it showed up on like Joma Shop or Fragrance Net. The fragrance itself is very spring and summer and early fall appropriate. You can wear this all year because it's got good heft, it's got good projection, it's got good longevity, but that combination of soft, gentle white florals with sweet citrus and those nice substantive notes in the base, vanilla and musk and sandalwood. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with this fragrance. I will say, as with any fragrance, I have heard from some of you in the comments that you don't like this. It doesn't work for you. But then others of you just think it is divine. You're on that train. So delightful. I don't know if I was right in choosing this over Herba Pura. I didn't feel like both of them belonged in this top 10 because they kind of give me the same feeling of like feeling bright, happy, fresh, ready to tackle the world. It's that feeling like you just put on your fresh sundress in the late spring, early summer, and you are smelling feminine and beautiful, ready to just skip through the town. Does anybody skip through a town? Can't even skip anymore, you guys. I can't even skip anymore. I'm about to be 50 years old. I'm happy if I get up the staircase without any aches these days. But this is like skipping, like the feeling of skipping or jumping rope in a bottle in feminine form with a little hint of maturity to it. These descriptions, where do we come up with them? Maybe one of my favorite sort of gourmand fragrances. I don't really feel like this smells edible, but I feel like it has enough gourmand touches that it kind of scratches the gourmand itch, but it still has this really like high femininity and beauty to it that makes it great for date nights or any situation where you want to show up in your best feminine self and smell mature, maybe, and not quite juvenile, if you will, or youthful or younger or whatever, fill in the blank for anything that isn't mature, right? This is bond number 9, Tribeca. I have always loved this bottle. It's got sort of a croco embossing in it. Or is it alligator? I don't know my animals, y'all. It's some kind of lizard, and maybe it's lizard. I don't know, but there's some sort of embossing on it. I love the cool feel of this bottle, and I do like the shapes of the bond number 9 fragrances. Some people hate them. Like I always say, to each their own, and this is my own for me. Some of the notes in the fragrance, I want to make sure I get these right. Cacao, hazelnut, there's jasmine, sambac absolute. So there's a nice jasmine center or heart to this fragrance that's really, really soft. It's the cacao and the hazelnut, and there's also caramel in the fragrance that give this some gourmand touches. When I sniff this, I can't tell you, ooh, I smell chocolate. Ooh, I smell caramel. Ooh, I smell something nutty. I just know that I smell something a little bit dark desserty, like a dark dessert, maybe even a dark chocolate drizzled with something, with some fudge or something. It definitely has that sort of tone to it, kind of in the same way if you have smelled what is now called Fève Gourmand, but was Gourmand Coquin from Guerlain. And that has a chocolate nuance to it, but it's a very perfumey, smells like a perfume, floral, beautiful fragrance with added chocolate. You wouldn't call it, at least I would not call it a chocolate fragrance, but the chocolate just adds this sort of sweet, delicately gourmand something to that. That's kind of how the cacao and the hazelnut and the caramel play together in this fragrance. This does have a warm, woody base to it. It is pretty heavy on ambroxan, and I share that for people that are just averse to ambroxan. One of the things I've learned in the past year or two is that there are people that they have a hard time tolerating ambroxan. If you're not familiar with ambroxan, it gives it, it's a note that is almost like a woody, musky base to a fragrance, and it gives it a lot of longevity. I happen to like it and think it smells great. Some people pick it up as sort of pencil shavings or something like that. Different people perceive ambroxan in different ways, and a lot of people just don't like it. I happen to love it in fragrances. This is heavy on the ambroxan, so I share that. But I think this is one of the best. This is, if you talk about a sweater weather fragrance, back to Musc Moschus. If this is your stay in the house and chill fragrance with your nice cozy sweater, this is your most beautiful, elegant, feminine sweater out for a night on the town. You are out, living your best, mature, grown woman, feminine life in Tribeca. I also love the Tribeca neighborhood in New York, and so, that kind of adds to the allure of this fragrance for me. Let's go on. We're down to the last three. I recently raved about this next one, and so I won't say a whole lot. I raved about it in a few videos. It is from LM Parfums. This is called Sensual Orchid. It is an extrait de parfum, which, as I always say, does not guarantee that a fragrance is stronger, longer lasting, more projecting. Extrait just means that it has a higher concentration of oils in the fragrance. That is all. So this has a beautiful, really luscious, thick vanilla base to it that I adore. And the other prominent note that stands out to me is an orchid note that I pick up as almost, I describe it as smelling how cotton candy looks to me, and maybe even how cotton candy smells. Cotton candy has this beautiful, like pink sugariness to it. It's this very sort of girly pinkness. It's sweet, it's airy, it's fluffy, it's slightly powdery. That is one of the dominant notes in this fragrance and maybe the most alluring part of this to me. There are other florals in the fragrance as well. Definitely has a floral heart, florals and vanilla, and it is amazing, intoxicating, toe curling, roll my eyes in the back of my head, amazing fragrance. I can't get enough of this. I think it is one of the best in my collection for me, for my taste. Okay. I think this is fantastic. So good, so good. It sort of reminds me of, remember, and I always forget what they're called, pixies. They're not pixie sticks, excuse me, but they had the white, like a dipstick. Maybe they were called dipsticks or something. As a kid, they came in a packet. One side of the packet was a powdered, sweetened up sugar. Okay, and the other side had this white dipstick, and you would take the dipstick, wet it with your mouth, and then put it in the other one and it would come up with a bunch of sugar crystals all over it. And that the way that smells and tastes reminds me of this fragrance backed up by this beautiful, amazing vanilla. I think this is fantastic. So Sensual Orchid made the top 10. I got well acquainted with Andrea Maack fragrances this year. I think I have 5, maybe 6 in my collection, and I like a lot of them, but one that really captured me as soon as I sniffed it, I joke around that the sort of the edges of the room went away. They faded away. They blurred into obscurity as me and this fragrance had a moment. We caught each other eye to eye across a crowded room. And decided to dance together. Careless whispers, we danced the night away. This is Pavilion. So the fragrance reminds me somewhat of Oud Bouquet from Lancôme, but improved. And I think Oud Bouquet is an absolutely fabulous fragrance, a difficult one to wear, a lot of it too strong. I mean, that fragrance is a powerhouse. This is like Oud Bouquet light and maybe made even more feminine. Some of the notes here, praline, honey, saffron. There's a nice prominent rose in the middle, and it's a very mature. The rose has bloomed and it is the most fragrant that it will be, that kind of rose scent. A little bit of patchouli and vanilla and amber and oud in the base. And the reason that I said all of the notes, because I think they're all important players. If I had to call out any 2 or 3 notes, beautiful rose, like a sweetened up rose, definitely a vanilla base, and a nice, sophisticated, elegant, soft, gentle oud in this fragrance. This is one of the most womanly, intoxicating, captivating, alluring, mysterious fragrances that I have. Absolutely a cold weather fragrance. This is not one that I would wear in high heat. Not at all. You will suffocate people. It is pretty strong and it is fairly projecting and it is long lasting. This one will stay on you all day, but it has that intoxicating sweetness. There's like a dark mystery to this in feminine form. So beautiful. So beautiful. The rose is fantastic in this. It can do no wrong. This fragrance is just perfection, in my opinion. Masterpiece status, if you ask me. I think it is fabulous. And then I will round out this year's top 10. And remember that the core 10 or something, I don't know if it's a total of 10 fragrances that I love year after year and just cannot even fathom getting rid of. They're in the pinned comment. But a fragrance that I really fell in love with, I think it was this year, at the top of the year, that I came to know this. It was sent to me by Twisted Lily. I didn't know if I would enjoy it. And it was love at dry down. Because in the opening, I was like, oh, what's happening? And as soon as it started to sort of settle down and mellow out, I was like speechless about this. This is from Amouage and it is Lineage. It is one of the most challenging fragrances to describe in the history of ever for me, and I probably describe it a different way every time. It is characterized by, I think it is frankincense and myrrh. It gives you that sort of very clean church thurible smell. And in that same way, it does remind me of essential oils from a spa. So I love the smell of pure frankincense. If you have smelled that, burned, if you will, in church settings, that's a little bit of what, well, a lot of bit of what this smells like. It also has some lovely marine aspects to it, like the best part of ocean air without smelling like marine life. So when people talk about marine notes, sometimes in marine fragrances, it smells like when you have stagnant water, stagnant ocean water or stagnant lagoon or lake water. And then it can smell a little bit, not fishy. That's not the word that I would use to describe those smells. It's something along the lines of like organic matter decaying. You don't get any of that in here. You get just the like slightest hint of the freshest aspects of ocean air, without leaning in the masculine direction, because sometimes oceanic smelling fragrances, for me, they come across very sort of masculine smelling. I don't get that here. I find this to be squarely unisex and is so beautiful. A lot of people pick up a prominent pepper note here. I can't tell you that pepper stands out to me. It is that frankincense, essential oil, ocean air, majesty. There's something so undescribable, mesmerizing, fresh. Definitely one to try before you buy. I find that people are madly in love with this and feel the same that I feel. They feel like they have stepped into some ethereal other world when they wear this fragrance. And then other people are kind of repulsed by it and they just don't get it at all. But that's the case with a lot of Amouage fragrances that have true like Amouage DNA, interesting, different, unique. When you talk about groundbreaking fragrances, this is to me a very groundbreaking fragrance. It is unique. It's so interesting. Imagine smelling like the most elegant spa oils. Imagine spas that use like eucalyptus and tea tree and lemongrass and cedarwood and all of those kinds of beautiful, unique essential oils. And they're also burning frankincense and they're playing Enya music. They're playing Enya music in the background, which gives you sort of that ocean-esque feel. This is just an amazing fragrance, immense longevity, crazy projection off of you. You're going to smell it into the next day. I've gotten complimented on this. My husband loves this on me. My son even loves this on me. Our daughter has complimented me on this fragrance as well. Everyone just loves this. So I dare not wear this in a work setting because I can't control myself when I spray this. It's like one of those fragrances you should only spray maybe once or twice, but I kind of go ham on it because I love it so much and I'm scared I'm going to suffocate people in a work setting. If I had the discipline to spray once or twice, I would consider wearing this to an event for work where I was not going to be sitting shoulder to shoulder, but we were going to be sort of milling around and networking because it has the most intoxicating sillage. So friends, I'm done. I know as soon as I press stop, I'm going to regret about 5 to 10 other fragrances that I did not put in this lineup, but deserve to be. Let me know your thoughts on this lineup. Did any of these surprise you? Or were you like, yeah, Veronica, we knew you were going to choose those. Thank you so much. Coming up next is going to be my December fragrance awards. And then I'm also going to have like a year in review awards, like 2024 awards across all of those categories for fun. I have not forgotten that many of you wanted to see a beast mode fragrance video. So that's coming up. And then friends, I'm turning 50 in January. And so I'm going to share with you my birthday wish list. And I plan to purchase or get other people to purchase at least half of that wish list. So I'll share that video with you as well. Take care, friends.